Cool.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Primum podcast program. Today's episode we're having Samuel Gordon. Samuel, first of all, thank you for your time and thank you for having the opportunity to give me the talk to you. And man, it's a real honor. So, how are you today?
Dude, I'm doing great. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. To be honest, it's a really honor to have you in here. I know that obviously I made my homework before doing the interview, and try to check on you and try to check everything that you do. And I've seen that you've done a lot in the community. So the first question, when did you start in the community?
Yeah. So that was my junior year of high school.
Hmm.
And I had a friend in a class who showed me a magic trick, just a really simple card force trick. And I liked it. So I learned it. And that eventually led to cardistry. So by the end of my first year with playing cards, I was doing
Yeah.
cardistry solely. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4.5 years or so, just doing cardistry. And I really enjoy it. So,
Oh, so you said that you start with cardistry. You didn't start with magic first?
well, no. So I started with magic, but it was a
Hmm.
very brief stint. I didn't do that for more than maybe a few months to a year. So pretty
Yeah.
quickly, cardistry.
Oh, that's actually since all this most of the people that I've interviewed, they started first in magic a couple of years and then they made that transition into cardistry. But yeah, it's still a very interesting start, as I said. And obviously I've seen your cardistry and it's, man, it's awesome. I've seen your moves and I've seen your style. Can you, obviously, I know that you have a lot of moves that you do. What are, like, your favorite moves, and how do you define your style when comes to the time of doing cardistry?
Yeah. So in terms of favorite moves, that
Hmm.
always shifts because it just depends on sort of where my creative direction is going at the moment. I
Yeah.
usually tend to fall back to doing a squeeze variation that I really like.
Hmm.
I'll try to show you. Do you want me to show you?
Sure, man, go ahead.
So this is
Yeah.
going. Let's hope I don't mess up on this example. But this is the one I usually go back to. And it's kind of my bread and butter combo right there. And then I
Nice.
also do this little combo.
Ooh.
Those are sort of my bread and butter moves, if you will.
Yeah, man, I kind of like that turn that you gave into the squeeze. I never seen that before. It's kind of uh, interesting how you turn that car in all motion of having, all other packets. That squeeze is something like you do something like this. It's very cool how you turn that package in all them. And to be honest, that's very creative move.
Thank you.
And yeah, so do you know that all the cards? This next question comes that that all in here we have some type of role model that we follow. In my case, I've been following a lot of Spanish cards since that's where I start. With all this type of cards. Obviously, who was the person that inspired you to doing cardistry, and always who is like, okay, this is my favorite cardist. I want to move. I want to do his move, and I want to like kind of base my style on him. So who was that person that obviously inspired you?
Yeah, well, in terms of basing my style off of someone, I've never been one to, maybe when I was starting out, but after a little while, I have very quickly moved away from learning other people's moves. I do
Hmm.
occasionally get a little bit more inspiration. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't quite say that inspiration really shows itself in how it affects my style personally. However,
Hmm.
two artists that I really look up to are, first of all, Parabaya. If you don't know him, he made casual playing cards, Flora playing cards, and he has just insane cardistry skills, really creative. So I really look up to him a lot, and just his creative process is something I really respect. And then I also really like Burger Carlson. He has some amazing moves as well. So Five Fan is another move that I do quite often, just because it's so addicting, and I guess not a lot of people do it, so I like that about it as well. But definitely those two. And then I also really get inspired by a lot of people just in the community with me. So especially OPC Hangouts is a great source of inspiration. So people like Hunter, who's in my group, we got Will Reed, and many, many more. I find that to be a lot more consistent inspiration than just maybe headliner cardists as my inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's kind of cool, man. And you talk about the OPC. Yeah, I know that you're one of the leaders of the OPC Hangouts.
Yeah.
I'm on the avocado group with Kaylin. Talk to me how it is, how it is all that when how you manage with this groups, how you set everything, how since I know that you obviously have other stuff to do that we're going to talk about that later. And how did you manage to, to set everything up, and how do you manage your calls and all the stuff, and um, how you feel, when you're making your part in in the community by doing this, and your experience on being a leader of an OPC Hangout group, and how you feel about that.
Yeah. So OPC Hangout groups are amazing. If anyone watching is not in a group, they need to be. So let's
Yeah.
just get that out of the way first. But I love it. My group is amazing. We have a lot of people who show up consistently every week, and then some people who kind of just drop in when they can, which is great as well. But we meet once a week on every Sunday and
Hmm.
just chat about cards for an hour. And that's not too bad to work that into my schedule because it's just one night a week where we all can hang out, and it's usually pretty relaxed. Sometimes we have some basic topics, but yeah, a lot of times the conversation just flows. We have some really good conversationalists in our group. It's not always about cardistry. Sometimes it's about an apartment tour or talking about the latest metal music or something. But it's a really great way to have like that community that everyone really
Hmm.
creates. But that's just a great way to get it. So yeah.
Yeah, man, those calls are very, very awesome. To be honest, I enjoy every single call that I'm on it. And you know that a couple of months ago, we did it like a contest. Cam obviously did a contest of recording. Every group was recording a video. Can you talk to me about that process on how was to record your video, how you get the ideas? You know, I've seen your video on the when Cam showed it on the live stream, and it was awesome. To be honest, it was very awesome. I love it. And how did you guys, set everything up on the same page and recorded everything? Since in here with us, we just we record our parts and all the stuff, and we have to do it. In my case, I'll have to record it twice since something happened, and I have to put the same clothes, and I have to put do the same motions on it to the video to try to be as similar as possible. Talk to me about that experience, because to be honest, I really enjoy it. And in my case, that I'm not that recognized in the community, being on a organic, on the organic playing card video, it's kind of awesome. To be honest, I really enjoy it. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that was such a fun contest. And I loved that it was a great way for people who are newer in the community to get involved or who
Yeah.
aren't crazy amazing cardists such as myself. I'm not as good as I could be. There are much people, I will say that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was super fun. And for our group, we first started with just figuring out how we wanted to make everything cohesive. And we eventually landed on the idea of making a fruit salad together. So that's why we had the Wiggles little song playing for part of it. And
Yeah.
some people just took it away with the intro, like Rob Gore, he's one of our members. He had that great little strawberry intro. So we did that and
That was
just
awesome.
recorded it that way. And once everyone had their little ideas planned out, everyone also had a clip of them dropping the cards that they were using, and then Ruth set up a bowl and had all of them falling into the bowl to make the card fruit salad. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was the concept, and we just put it all together. I got to meet up with two of my friends who were in the area, Isaiah and Hunter, who were in our group, and we recorded our parts together, which was also very fun. And yeah, we came out with a video that got second place by one vote, I will say. So
Yeah, it was a very rough competition, and to be honest, I love it.
Mhm.
And that's what is making community. To every people get involved and to every people participate. And to be honest, I'm very grateful with all that experience that I've been getting with you guys and all that stuff. And yeah, now talk to me about. I've seen you that you work with OPC. Like in OPC stuff. Talk to me about that. How was your experience with working with Cam? I've seen your video that you got with Caleb with Cardistry Talk and Cam. That, I don't know. That, to be honest, that would be, in my case, in my opinion, I think that that would be one of the greatest experience of the whole life, since getting all this experience and all this stuff. It's got to be very cool. So talk to me about that, how it is working with Cam and how it is working with um filming and all the stuff. I saw that you film your all the content on the beach. And talk to me about that, because to be honest, it was very dangerous place, since you're in the water, and the cards, and cards and water, they don't match up. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So working with OPC, I've been making content with them for maybe a year now, since Snackers V2, I believe. I think that was my first sponsored cardist deck that
Yeah.
I did. But that was really great, first getting the opportunity to be a sponsored cardist with them. And
Hmm.
excuse me, that just sort of came after being involved with OPC, buying their decks, posting content with their decks, and being able to get to know Cam and at the time a little bit better. And so eventually they were confident in my content that they could then sponsor me for that. So that was really great having that. But then since then, I've become pretty good friends with Cam, and that's been fun getting to know him more. And now I've also become really good friends with Caleb since he's in our group. So getting to do the trailer was amazing. Like, dude, I can't stress that enough. I think that was the best experience that I've had in cardistry since I started. Going to
Yeah.
CardistryCon here was amazing, but getting to do the trailer with them and just hanging out with some pretty cool guys was so cool. And it was also a really cool experience to be in a big company's trailer, because OPC is a
Hmm.
out in 5 minutes kind of brand now, I guess. So that was super fun, and it was a really big honor to just be a part of that. And it was humbling to also have that experience of people liking my cardistry enough to want me in a trailer. So
Hmm.
I need a lot of gratitude to Cam for that. But yeah, the experience was super fun, and being on the beach was very risky, but we made it through. I think we went through probably a whole brick of those squeezers in that day.
Brick?
I
A
think
whole
so,
brick?
dude.
Oh my gosh,
It was
man.
like we would drop a deck in the sand and we couldn't use it. So we were like, okay, time to open another one. Or like that one that fell in the water, which I will say, we quickly picked up. Like we dove into the water and got all those. But after Cam got his little video of them. But yeah, so we went through quite a few decks, but I think it was worth it. And it was great getting to have that freedom of not stressing about keeping the deck super nice, because we could just have fun with it then. So it was a great experience, man.
Oh man, I really bet so. That was very good experience, and it was I think that it was kind of funny, dropping the decks on the water. Oh my god, not another one, and then goes. But yeah, man. And well, the next question comes. While I was doing my, homework for the interview, I saw that you've been doing into film and stuff, which that's also awesome. To be honest, I love a lot that type of stuff. Filming, editing, designing. Talk to me about that. How you get into that? If you like work on that, how that you get manage with all the filming stuff and all that stuff that you do besides cardistry.
So are you speaking in terms of film photography or film
Um,
video?
yeah. If you do both, you can talk to me about both, or if you do one, you can just do. If you obviously do both, you can talk to me about both. If you do one, just talk to me about one. Just
Yeah,
whatever
sure.
is more comfortable with you.
Yeah, well, I do. I'll give a little overview of both, I guess. So
Sure.
I do film photography, and that's probably the least related to cardistry hobby that I have. So
Yeah.
That's just, if you don't know what film photography is, it's 35 millimeter film like they had in the
Mm-hmm.
last three before digital. And that's just a fun analog way to do photography and experiment. And yeah, that's really fun. So that's the thing I do. But then getting into video, that is something that I have slowly been developing over the last few years. Sort of since I started cardistry was when I started exploring it, because you need video to show off cardistry. And I went to school for digital media communications, and that involved a lot of video production. So learned a bit there. And now I mainly use it for cardistry. And then every once in a while, if I have a paid job or something, I'll use it for that, or as a bit of a hobby or something. But yeah, so with cards, I just have a pretty simple rig. I have a DSLR and a shotgun microphone, and I set those
Mm-hmm.
up and get a composition, film it. Sometimes if I want to do a more intricate video, like the Squeezers V3 video that I did, where I was
Mm-hmm.
in the woods and kind of did a bit of a sequel to Cam's trailer,
Yeah.
that involved a little more just using my tripod and finding new different compositions, getting a bit of a storyline going.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's just sort of thinking of an idea, going for it, not doing what doesn't work, and then keeping that idea cohesive into the editing process and coming out with a good product, hopefully. So that's what I do.
Yeah, man. That film stuff, it's very awesome, and it's not easy, since I've heard that to take one good picture, you have to take like a whole bunch of pictures, and all of them you have to select one that fits everything. So that's got to be very interesting too, but it's very, very hard since you have to put a lot of effort and work. And yeah, man, that's a really good hobby. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this next question comes to act has everything knows in here. Obviously, you got your own playing cards that are
Yeah.
the found playing card. Those ones, yeah. Talk to me about how you got inspired on that deck and everything in the process that was involved at the Kickstarter. How was the process to create the deck? When you got the inspiration, and how do you manage to make that deck very successful? Since I got into your profile, and man, you been put a lot of effort on that, and have I seen it's a very successful page. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I started the brand as Flux Playing Cards, as you saw, and that's why the box of the Viscid deck has Viscid on one side and then Flux on the other. And we did that started in 2019, January 2019, and that was when I started doing the design process. That's about when I came up with the back design, and then started on the face cards. And then the rest of that year was just figuring out the logistics, figuring out how to set up a Kickstarter, working with one of my friends to get the box design figured out, Daniel Newton, great designer, and then eventually working towards sending a few decks out for people to use and make content with, making prototypes, and then eventually launching it in January 2020, so a year after I started.
Hmm.
And yeah, we got the Kickstarter funded, which was great. And then that took way too long to actually get them printed, because we were getting them printed and then COVID hit in earnest, and that put us back like 2 months because USPC had their big shutdown. And that was a headache, but we eventually got it done. And when I was able to finally start shipping cards out to people, it was such a relief. And it was really great to finally see people using the cards and receiving them. And so I was really thankful to finally get all that done. And yeah, so recently we decided to rebrand to Found Playing Cards. And
Nice.
we have a whole story behind that and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that has a few different motivations for why we chose to do that. But I think I'm really excited about it, because with the story, there's so much that we're going to be able to do, and there is now much more freedom and longevity in it. And I'm really excited to contribute a little something more to the community than just, hey, look, a new deck of playing cards. Now it's
Yeah.
a deck of playing cards and a story and a brand and a community that you can get involved with. And obviously, OPC is a big inspiration for that, just in the way that Cam crafts stories around his decks and the way that he has like a consistent theme. So that is where we're at now. So, found playing cards. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, man. And to be honest, I really like the design. I like how it's made and all that stuff. And as you said, it's creating a story. It's not put a simple design and just release it. It's all about creating a story. So I know that COVID really affected your printing process and all the process to creating the deck. How do you feel when that happened? Because all the this COVID situation has affected all of us, and how affected to you in terms of the production of the deck. In
Yeah.
terms of you have to push back on, or you have to do some changes that was not in schedule and all the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really disappointing to have that pushed back because I was really excited to get them out as soon as possible. I mean, who wouldn't be? But stuff happens, and luckily, all the backers were very understanding, and some people had a few questions, but they were understanding when I and allowed me to respond to those well. So it was disappointing, but we got through it, and they're printed now. So all in all, it wasn't terrible. And I think it just gave me more time to learn about the process. So it wasn't a total loss. But yeah, understandably frustrating. Not the worst thing ever. They still got made. So,
Yeah, yeah, man. As I said, this COVID situation has affected to all the playing cards brand, and yeah, man. Hopefully, this all when all this stuff ends and we're back to normally, we will, just trying to get back to all the stuff. And I've seen your design and what inspired you to, what was your creative process and what you get to, to put the work that you put on that final design, because obviously designing playing cards is not easy. You have to know that it's not easy. And obviously, I think that you must have like dozens of design, dozens of prototypes. And okay, should I put this? Should I put this? And should I eliminate this, or should I change this? How was that process that you pass in terms to get that final design? Which, to be honest, is amazing. I love it.
thank you. I appreciate that. Well, if you scroll down far enough on the Found Playing Cards Instagram, you'll see some portraits of people, which I think I still have all of them up. And those
Yeah.
are grime portraits. And the style, the art style that this design is based off of is called grime. And that came about in sort of the late 2010s to early 2010s. I don't know what the term is for that, but that art style really started to get a foothold then, and it was used by a lot of people. A big artist that contributed to that was an artist named De La Deso, is his artist name. I think his real name is Ricky, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's based out of California, really talented guy. And so I gained a lot of inspiration, of course, from his work. And then there's actually a music video by Getter, who is a EDM type artist. And De La Deso was the artist in the music video who did animations for them and used the grime art style. And so that was another big inspiration. And so I looked more into the art movement, learned a bit more about it, saw other people who were using it, and decided that was a really good direction to go in. And it was something fresh that the cardistry community hasn't seen yet. So definitely wanted to do that. And also, I wanted a design that was somewhat complex, but not like Theory 11 or Standard Bytes type complex, which credit to those, but
Yeah.
not necessarily for cardistry. So that's why I decided to make it a little simplified, but it's still got the detail in it. And also the two eyes are there to be derivative of the portraits, but also provide a bit of a focal point for cardistry so that they're not just a blank grime design. So that's sort of the story behind the design there.
Yeah, man. To be honest, as I said, the design, I love it and it's very awesome. And as I said, cardistry has like a tendency to go, like you said, like to a non-complex style. Since we get all these big brands, they have turned to go to a minimalistic style, and that's what its tendency right now. And it's something that it's changing because that's how art works. It has his faces and all that stuff. So yeah, to be honest, all the work that you put on it, it's very awesome. I'm actually looking right now on the art that you posted on Instagram, and it's awesome. It's very great. And how was when you put on the Kickstarter? How was that phase of the project when you obviously set everything up? Should I put this? Should I put that? And how was in terms of working with the Kickstarter? How you managed with that?
Yeah. So with the actual copy of describing the project, I didn't want to oversell the deck. I just wanted to give people a base. This is what we did. Enjoy it. This is for you, kind of thing. So if you actually go find the Kickstarter and read through it, you'll notice it's not a super flowery. This is the best deck ever, which I mean, obviously, it's, but I didn't want to. I didn't want people to get the deck just because I was hyping it up a lot. I didn't want to make a hype deck, which probably would have made it easier to sell. But I wanted people to just see the deck, and if they liked it, get it, and give them the necessary information, kind of describe the inspiration a bit. But I don't generally enjoy when brands really hype up stuff without any warrant. So I wanted to contrast that in my own work. But yeah, the Kickstarter is pretty easy to set up. It's the hardest part is figuring out logistics with the printer and shipping, and then even more so after the Kickstarter ends, then working with all the back end logistics, because you kind of take a deep breath after the Kickstarter, but then there's way
Yeah,
more to do. So
yeah, I think that might be really okay. I got founded, everything's fine, and then I have to work with shipping, backers, and all this stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, that's why making a Kickstarter is not for everyone, and that all that hard effort that you put, that what makes it very a very successful brand. So yeah, it's very awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot from the process. It's you can ask as many people about Kickstarter as you want before you make one. You can do all the
Mhm.
research you can, but until you start doing it, you won't know exactly what you need to do. And I learned so much through that process. Like the next time around is going to be so much more different if I even go with Kickstarter again. But
Ooh,
hoo,
that's very interesting.
so yeah, it's difficult, but I think it's worth it. And it was running the campaign was super stressful. So until you get funded, it is nerve wracking because you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't get funded, this isn't gonna happen. All my dreams are gonna come crashing down. But then when it happens, you're like, ah, finally. So luckily it got funded, and I'm super happy. But it was a very, very stressful month on Kickstarter. So it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, man. So the actual thing that you made it. Now you can sit in your home and say, "Whoa, I have my own playing card brand." That there's the satisfaction, the feeling that you have to feel and to yourself that all the effort that you put, all the hard work, all the stuff that you do, it obviously it gives you good results, and that's something that in your case you have to feel very proud and also have to feel very good. So yeah, my last question to finish. As you said, you're doing a lot of stuff right now, OPC and all this stuff. What are the plans for the future for Samuel Gordon? Obviously, you cannot tell me everything I know, but what are those, all those plans for the future that you have or that you're willing to do?
Yeah,
The ones,
well,
the ones, the ones that you can tell me, because obviously, you'll have to, all that stuff and all the circuit stuff. So yeah.
mhm. Yeah, well, I recently moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, so kind of getting settled in here. But in the near future, I want to start developing the next deck for found playing cards. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about that. I have some concepts that I'm working with, so
Hmm.
keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I mean, I've just enjoyed getting that launched and the new website for that built. So that's sort of the
Hmm.
current focus before I start in on the next deck. And getting to sort of interact with people as that brand grows has also been really nice. But aside from that, in my personal cardistry stuff, I've really enjoyed getting to do a bit more sponsored work, especially with Riffle Shuffle and OPC. They've both been in sponsoring me with stuff, so it's been really nice to support the community in that way, because a lot of people will. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. A lot of people will kind of go after trying to be like a sponsored cardist or something, and I just want some free decks, and like I'll post a picture of them or something. And it's much more than that. Like, yes, uh, they do end up sending me free decks to use in the videos, but I see it as a great opportunity to really support the community in that way and to support these brands that are also doing great things for the community, like OPC Hangouts or just Riffle Shuffle being so great to the people who follow
Hmm.
them and buy their decks. They're such a good brand about that. So um, in my personal cardistry, that's really the biggest thing that I'm focusing on, is trying to be a better member of the community and support, especially those brands that are doing well for others and finding good ways to impact people, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. And to be honest, I can't wait to see what you been working on. And to be honest, it's really awesome. So yeah, man. Obviously, thank you for your time. And as always, I'm going to be leaving the link to the description on Samuel on the his playing cards profile, and I'm going to be obviously posting a link to his website so that you guys can check on it, try to check all his content. He's posts a lot of content, and I bet that he's a really good leader for the OPC Hangouts. On the OPC Hangouts, we really spend some really good time, and yeah, as I said, obviously, man, thank you for your time, and I hope that this is not the first and last interview that we have, man. So yeah, thank you for your time and see you in the next episode.
Yeah. See you later, Max. Appreciate talking with
Bye.
you.